Hey Rob, is railroading always a bad thing? I like the sound of sitting in a tavern, but as a beginner, I like some railroading. Yeah. A lot of people, when they're getting into D&D, if they are really getting like hyper obsessed with it and they're starting to consume anything to do with D&D online, they'll probably end up on Reddit threads about D&D, and that will lead them to Reddit horror stories about people railroading, and they'll watch videos on YouTube, and they'll no doubt come across the term railroad, and they'll probably come across it in the context of railroad versus sandbox. It is not a dichotomy, and it is not only one or the other. If you are running a game as a dungeon master, it is not either a railroad or a sandbox. People think railroad is a bad word and sandbox is the only way to play D&D. And sandbox means like you give your players free reign to do whatever they want, and they've got full autonomy over their own characters and their decisions and the direction that they go and the direction the story goes, and which plots they decide to follow and which ones they don't. And that's a sandbox. Nothing wrong with a sandbox, but it is a lot of work as a dungeon master to prepare an entire world with multiple different plots and then completely give it to your players. A sandbox can also be a bad game if you have players that need some sort of direction, because otherwise they just kind of sit in a tavern all day and go like, what are we meant to be doing? We didn't achieve anything, we didn't go anywhere. Sometimes players need a little linear storytelling, a little push towards like, this thing happens, you want to deal with it? There you go, you go off and deal with it. People think railroading is a bad word, and they think that, any railroad is a bad game, because there's a difference between railroading and linear storytelling. Linear storytelling is like there is a plot that is happening and there's only really one plot to follow, but you can take your time with it. You can do what you want. You can make choices along the way. The analogy I often come back to is I railroad my campaigns in that I have a rail that is pre-set out about what the campaign's going to be and where you're going to go and which stations are along the way. But on the train, you have a little sandbox and you can play around and you can enjoy the journey. But I'm still going to be taking you from this station to that station. Maybe even you get out at the next station and there's an even bigger sandbox world that you can explore. Like once you get to a city and you're like, we've got some downtime and there's nothing immediately dramatic happening in the story, we can explore and enjoy and maybe even take a journey over here or go over there or whatever. But eventually, I'm going to say, get back on the train, we need to be moving this story along, and I'm going to take you to the next train station, right? This is a prime example of bad railroading. This is the bad version of the railroading where you don't have options, where you don't have choice. When people talk about railroading as a bad thing, they're talking about this sort of thing. On the previous page, we were given an option of, do you want to return to the surface or go deeper? We chose to return to the surface. Our character is going, I want to get back to the surface. And then the DM, as it were, the writer, says, deciding to return to the surface, you direct the seeker cautiously upwards, but then immediately you're caught in a powerful current that sweeps you sideways instead. You enter a grotto. Once you're in the grotto, the current carries you over to a door that opens, and then you get swept inside the door, and then the door closes behind you, and the grotto drains of water, and then you step out of your you step out of your seeker device into this underground chamber, and then you meet some people. And from the choice of I want to ascend to the surface, you weren't given any choice. You were railroaded from this place to the next place, and you didn't have like anything to do in the railroad. You were strapped into a seat on a train, and you were just taken to the next thing that the DM wanted you to do, irrespective of what you wanted. And that's what people talk about when they're talking about horror stories regarding railroading. Not just it's okay to like push your players gently in a direction. I like call to action is what Rowan calls it. Rowan is very much a player that likes a very, very heavily linear storytelling kind of push. Like, if I don't give the Adventures of Azarim, the Baradier and the Dickheads party, a clear what is next for you to do, you've seen it before in the campaign. Rowan gets like, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go to a bar. Let's go to a casino. Let's go to a brothel. I don't know what to do. What's the call to action? What are we meant to be doing? What's the drive? Rowan likes you've got a quest, and then once that quest's ended, you've got another quest. So it really is, again, it comes down to your player's style and yet again, it comes down to have a session 0 where you talk all of this through and talk through what kind of players they are and how much of a push they want towards their storytelling.
Hey there, thanks for watching this video. It really means a lot to me. And if you want to support me in ways that doesn't cost you anything, you can tell your friends or colleagues or family or Reddit threads or just post the video somewhere. Thanks.